So now we will go for demo, right? So this is the first use case where we have to build a blog writing agentic system. So here we have defined three agents: content planner, which will identify the key content and plan outline. Then we have an agent content writer, which will write a blog post. And then we have the editor, who will proofread and check for grammatical errors. So now we'll go to the demo, right? Okay. Yeah. So as you could see, here you have to make these installations. So crew AI underscore tools, and langchain underscore community. So these packages you have to install. Then from crew AI you have to import these functions, right? So agent, task, and crew. And then you have to import your OpenAI API key, right? And then we will define our agents. So while you're defining your agent, you have to mention about the role, goal, backstory, and some other parameters, right? So this is content planner. The goal of this agent would be to plan engaging and factually accurate content on a particular topic. So this variable topic is an input variable. And then this is the backstory. And then allow underscore delegation is equal to false, right? So that means this agent is not given the permission to delegate its task to some other agent. So for that we have set this parameter as false. If you set this parameter as true, then while doing the work, this agent might delegate its task to its next agent available in the queue, right? Now this is the agent we have defined for writer. So content writer, again we are defining these parameters: goal, backstory, allow underscore delegation, right? And then this is the editor agent, which will edit a given blog post to align with the writing style of the organization. Okay. Now for each of these agents we have to create this task. So we are calling this task method, and then we are defining these parameters: description, a very detailed description of task; expected output, so how do you want the output from the agent; and then agent is equal to planner. So you have to define the agent which will perform this particular task, right? And yeah. And here in the expected output, you could also mention any output file which is present in your directory, so the output gets written in that file, right? So that is also possible. Now here similarly for the writer agent, we have defined this task, right? Description, so use the content plan to craft a compelling blog post on this particular topic. And the expected output, and then we are mentioning which agent will perform this task. And similarly editor, right? For the editor agent, we have this description and the expected output. So now we are defining the crew, and in this crew we are defining agents. So we have planner, writer, editor, and the tasks, corresponding tasks that we have defined. So by default, we during the presentation, right, I talked about that there is another process field. So if you don't define the process field by default, then the agents get executed in a sequential manner, right? And then you just kick off your crew with the inputs. So here inputs, I am passing the topic, and this is starting to execute, right? So as you could see that this agent has started. So content planner, it is understanding its task, then it is giving you the answer, generating the final answer, right, according to the task that you have defined. You could see the sections it has properly maintained: introduction, latest trends, key players, target audience. So this is how you have mentioned in your description of the task, right? Similarly, this is for content writer. Okay, so it is writing your blog in the particular writing style of your organization, and the editor is proofreading this for grammatical errors and alignment with the brand's voice. And finally, this particular output, the blog that we get, right? So here you could see this is the blog this particular agentic system has written, right? So this is a simple example of how you can create such multi agentic systems using Crew AI. For the next demo, next use case, right? So this is, we are building a customer support multi-agentic system. So here we have defined like two agents, right? So senior support representative and support quality assurance specialist. Now the tasks of this particular agent is to inquiry resolution. So analyze the query. So on this platform, let's say some query comes and this system has to resolve that query using some external information, right? So earlier system we did not use any tool. Here we are going to use this tool, right? So this is a scrape website tool where you pass the URL of a particular website. It will scrape the information and get you the correct information based on the user query. Okay, so that is the task of this particular agent. It will analyze the query, use this tool and craft a draft response, and the support quality assurance specialist will evaluate the draft, suggest feedback and improvements, right? So that is the goal. Now let's go to the demo. Okay, so here again you have to install these packages. You have to import these particular functions from the uh, from Crew AI, right? And then import your OpenAI API key. Now the next task is to start defining your agents, right? So here I have defined the senior support representative, the goal and the backstory. So you work at Crew AI. So in the backstory you have to like correctly define what the agent's role would be, right? So what is the role that the agent will play while performing its particular task. So you work at Crew AI and now working on providing support to customer. This customer is an input variable, a super important customer for your company. You need to make sure that you provide the best support. Make sure to provide full complete answers and make no assumptions, right? And similarly you have another agent, support quality assurance agent, right? So this will again have this goal and this is the backstory. So you work at Crew AI and are working with your team on a request from customer. So you provide the best support possible and giving a full complete answer and make no assumptions, right? So this is how we have defined our agents. Now we are importing this tool, serper dev tool, scrape website tool, website search tool, but here we are going to use this scrape website tool. So this is what, this is a web tool that will scrape information from a given website, right? So as you could see here, like this is the doc scrape tool, right? So we have created this tool and using importing this particular tool from the inbuilt tools of Crew AI, and we are passing the URL, right? So this is the Crew AI documentation URL. Now we are creating the tasks, right? So here we are describing giving the brief like the detailed description of the task. So query, inquiry, person, customer, all these are input variables that we are passing to the description of the task. This is the expected output, and here we have to define the tool. which tool will be used by this particular agent while performing this task. So tools you have to define inside the task, right? And similarly you have the quality assurance review task again for the second agent, right? So this is support quality assurance agent, and you are defining the detailed description of the task as well as the expected output. And as you could see here, we are defining the crew, we have defined the agents, the tasks, as well as memory is equal to true. That means the crew together enables the memory, so every conversation in between will be saved to the memory, right? And here in the inputs you are giving this customer, person, inquiry, and then you are kicking off your crew, right, with the inputs. Okay, so if you could see that here is the agent, it is starting the task, right? And then it is using this tool, so you are like passing this URL. So kick off crew, it is like scraping information from that particular website, right? um, and then it is generating this final answer. Okay, yeah. And then this is the next agent that is starting to work, and it is now started execution of its particular assigned task, and finally we get the final answer. Okay, so that is this is a customer support multi-agentic system, right? The next use case is the this financial agentic system, right? So here we are like expanding our use case, and this is for like financial trading multi-agentic system, right? So here we have defined these agents: data analyst agent, trading strategy developer agent, trade advisor agent, and risk advisor agent, right? So the tasks that individually we have assigned is monitor and analyze real-time market data to identify trends and predict movements. Then we have this trading strategy developer, which will like who will develop and test various trading strategies based on data insights. Then we have trade advisor, who will suggest optimal trade execution strategies based on approved plans. And then the risk advisor agent will evaluate risks and provide insights on trading activity, risk exposure, right? And each of these agents are provided with this scrape website tool and the serper dev tool. The serper dev tool is another additional tool that is used for searching, right? So let's go to the demo, right? Okay, so this one is again, right, you have to import all these packages, and then you have to get your keys, right? So this is OpenAI API key, as well as for serper dev tool you have to go to their website and create this API key, and then you will get the serper API key, right? And then these are the tools, you have to define these tools. So you're importing these particular methods from the crewai underscore tools built-in library, right? Now you're creating these agents. So this is a role, goal, and backstory. And then you can also define tools in the while you're defining your agents also, so that is also possible. So you could see here I've defined data analyst agent, monitor and analyze market data in real time to identify trends and predict market movements. Trading strategy developer agent, I'm giving the scrape tool as well as the search tool. Then execution agent, trade advisor, right? And the tools I have given, so suggest optimal trade execution strategies based on approved trading strategies. And this is a risk advisor agent. In the next step we are creating the tasks. So for each of the agents we are defining the description, like detailed description of the task, expected output, and the agent, right? Similarly here also, like develop and refine trading strategies based on the insights from the data analyst and user defined risk tolerance. Okay, consider trading preferences, and this is the expected output. Similarly, for execution agent, we have defined the task description, expected output, and for the risk management agent, so creating the crew, right? So here you are defining this crew, and you are defining the agents as well as the tasks and the manager LLM. Here you have to mention the LLM, that is this is the model and the temperature, as well as we are defining here the process, right? So process is equal to process dot hierarchical, right? So here by default, since we are mentioning about the hierarchical process and we are also giving here the manager LLM, now this LLM will be responsible to divide the tasks based on the capabilities of these particular agents, and also like understand in what order the agents will execute, right? So that is one thing. And now with the given inputs we are running the crew. So we are giving these inputs, right? So stock selection AAPL. So this is the stock for which I want to understand whether identify the trends, right, and market trends for these particular stock, right? So this is the initial capital, the risk tolerance, trading strategy preference, day trading, and news impact consideration is true, right? So I am also going to get live news updates and feeds, right, to my system, so that whatever information or recommendation that my system gives is based on current information. And this is the utility of an agentic system, where you could incorporate external tools to make your knowledge or responses more grounded, right? So you could see here that the screw manager has started executing, and it is getting these inputs, right? Now it is see, it is delegating the task, right? So first step is to continuously monitor and analyze market data, and it is delegating its work to the co-worker, that is a data analyst agent, right? So it is fetching all these websites, right, this one, and it is getting information. Okay, so uh, if you see the entire chain, right? Yeah, so then it has got some information, some initial information, uh, and then it is like getting some more information from other websites also. So this is a marketwatch.com, and here it has got it from finance.yahoo, right, this website. So based on that, it is giving you this particular information and the links, right? So here is the final answer. Now like it is it wants to like get some detailed analysis of potential risks, right? So now it is relegating its work to the risk advisor agent, right? So this also again gets all this input, and then it generates the risks as well as its final analysis, right? So this is the risk analysis report. right? So this is the final report that it has generated. Okay, so how you could like invest in this particular on in this particular stock, and what are the potential risks. So that is the result that we have got using this system, right? So this is like a financial advisor for your trading, and here multiple agents have collaborated, right, to do this task. So here you could see it has dedicated to the trading strategy developer. So as you could see here, multiple like wherever the uh, requirement is, the manager LLM or the crew LLM, it decides, I mean, which agent it should delegate its task to, right? So here it has delegated the task to the data analyst agent. Then for some work, it is giving the role to the trading strategy developer, right? And then we have seen that it has called on to the again it is calling the trading strategy developer, and then finally it is calling on to the risk developer, I mean potential risk analyzer agent, risk advisor agent. So depending on the task complexity and the tasks that it has understood, it is delegating the tasks in a hierarchical fashion. It does not mean that the agents will execute sequentially as and when the task is coming. Based on that, it is deciding and then it is delegating the task. So the execution could be in any order, right? So that is what we have developed here for this financial trading, right? Okay. Yeah, so another demo that I'm going to show you is for the deep research agent with tools, right? So here, like we are developing a multi-agentic system for doing this automatic deep research, adding custom tools here, right? So till now you were seeing that the built-in tools that were already present in crew AI, we were importing them and then we were using them. But here we have to like the goal is to take the multi-agentic system that can interpret a user's input, create action plan, do actual research fact checking, and then finally output a report you can share with clients and add tools to the agents so that you could be better at achieving your particular goals. So here you could see we have this imported this agent task crew and LLM. So all these methods we have imported, right? Okay, then these are the tools, right? So this is how you define your custom tool. So you have to define this class, my custom class. Then you have to mention this name, description, args, schema, right? And then you have to define this run function, underscore run function, and your tools logic will be defined here. Okay, so here what I'm doing is I'm defining a custom plot tool, right? And here this is a custom tool for creating plots from research text. So some analysis has all has been performed, and then based on that if I want to plot something, so this is the prompt, right? This is the text. I'm calling this LLM to understand it and generate the response, right? And this is the code, right, that it should use for plotting. Okay, and then finally it will return the plots. So that is the tool that I have defined here. Okay, and then these are some of the tools that are inbuilt within the crew AI library, so that also we could use. So we are defining the agents, right? So yeah, so you could also, this is one of the ways, so you could create this agents.yaml file, and within the file also you could define your particular description of agents instead of defining it here, so that is also possible. And within this config parameter you could get all those details with the name of the agent, so that is possible. Here you could see some additional parameters like maximum iterations and maximum RPM. So these are the parameters which will restrict the agent. So if the agent is failing somewhere, right, and it is continuously iteratively running, then that leads to burning out of your resources. So for that you could restrict here the rate limit, so that the whenever there is an issue it goes to resolve the issue or that error, and does not continuously run this particular agent, right? So here we have defined this research planner, internet researcher, fact checker, and report writer, right? And here also we have also defined this custom guardrails, right? So guardrails are basically we define on input and output, so that you have some checks on your input, right? Some checks like on the output you might be looking for that no PII, personal information, has been leaked, right? So for that particular checks or some confidential information is not disclosed in the generated response. So for that you could have these custom functions, right? And that you could inject while you're defining your these tasks, right? So this is the we are defining tasks. As you could see that we have created a tasks.yaml file, and within that task.yaml file we have defined all this configuration, right? So create research plan, we have defined the configuration, gather research data, verify information quality, and write the final report. And on the output, the guardrail that I have written, right? So these are the particular checks. The report must include a summary section, insight section, citations or references. So these are the particular checks that it will do, and that particular guardrail I have injected in the final task in the as a write report guardrail. Okay, and here I also have some concept like execution hooks, right? So this is particularly like so save file hook. So after the report has been generated, I have created this function so that it writes that content, whatever content it has generated, to this particular file, right? This research report p2 file. So that for that I have used this concept like execution hooks, right? And when you're defining your crew, you have to mention after kickoff callbacks is equal to this hook function, right? You have to define your function here. So as you could see here, I have defined the agents and the tasks, and memory is equal to true, and then I'm giving this input, right? So I've given provide a detailed analysis of the most recent West Bengal election results, right, including party wise seat distribution, vote share, and changes from the previous election. So I have run the crew. So it is planning the research, right? Then there is an internet researcher agent which has started. It has used this exa search tool. It is getting information. So I have run this like previously. So I mean previous to the results of the current election, right? So it is getting the recent information. It is getting information of 2023. Okay, then this is internet researcher.